Good morning. Today we'll be studying the second chapter of Shevitat Yom Tov, and this chapter will deal with the issue of muktzeh. Now, as we mentioned in the previous chapter, that one of the differences between Shabbat and Yom Tov is that Chachamim prohibited muktzeh on Yom Tov, while muktzeh is permitted on Shabbat. And the reason for this was that Chachamim didn't want people to take Yom Tov too lightly. Therefore, they prohibited muktzeh. And muktzeh, as we talked about and defined and mentioned in the previous chapter, is that something that is undesignated for Yom Tov, with the condition that you didn't designate it for Yom Tov. So again, it's something undesignated for Yom Tov. You have no use for it on Yom Tov. And just as muktzeh is prohibited, so too nolad, or something that did not exist prior to Yom Tov, is also prohibited. הלכות שביתת יום טוב פרק ב' הלכה א' אפרוח שנולד ביום טוב אסור מפני שהוא מוקצה. A chick that hatched on Yom Tov is prohibited on Yom Tov because it is muktzeh. And this is the halacha here follows Rav and not Shemuel in Masechet Betzah. ועגל שנולד ביום טוב, and a calf that was born on Yom Tov, אם הייתה אמו עומדת לאכילה, מותר, מפני שהוא מוכן על גב אמו. If the calf was to be slaughtered and to be eaten on Yom Tov, it is allowed. The calf that was born on Yom Tov is allowed because it was prepared for Yom Tov along with the mother. ואילו שחט אמו, היה זה שבמאיה מותר ביום טוב, אף על פי שלא נולד. And if the mother was slaughtered on Yom Tov, the fetus inside her would be allowed on Yom Tov, despite the fact that it wasn't actually born prior to Yom Tov. Because the reason for this is that the fetus is considered as an extension of the mother, and if the mother was slaughtered, the fetus would be allowed to be eaten without Shevitat, and this is assuming that there were 9 months filled there were 9 months of the fetus, that the fetus was in the mother's womb. Under 8 months, there are different dinim, and this is not the time to get into it right now. Hopefully, we'll see it in Hachot Ma'achalot Asurot. Halacha Bet. בהמות שיוצאות ורעות חוץ לתחום, ולענות בתוך התחום, הרי אלו מוכנות. Animals that were prepared, animals that left and grazed outside the tehum and came back and slept inside the tehum. These are considered prepared for Yom Tov, and we may take from them and slaughter them on Yom Tov. And the tehum that we're referring to here is tehum Shabbat, which is 2,000 amot in every direction, as we defined in Hilchot Shabbat. אבל שרעות ולנות חוץ לתחום, אם באו ביום טוב, אין שוחטין אותם מפני שהן מוקצה, ואין דעת אנשי העיר עליהן. But those animals that grazed outside of the tehum and slept outside of the tehum, if they came in on Yom Tov, they are prohibited to be slaughtered because they are muktzeh, and a person did not have them in mind. הלכה ג' וכן בהמות קדשים שנולד בהן שנולד בה מום ביום טוב. הואיל ולא היה דעתו עליה מערב יום טוב, אסור לשחותה ביום טוב. Now, animals that were hekdesh, and hekdesh means that they were set aside to be here. Actually, no. Rabbi Yochai Makbili, in his explanation, mentions that these behemot hekdesh are animals that have an intrinsic type of kedusha. So, for example, a bechor of a behemat tehora would be hekdesh, and it has an intrinsic type of kedusha when it is born. So, animals of that sort that were born with a mum on Yom Tov, because it wasn't in a person's mind to eat it prior to Yom Tov, because he was going to bring it to the Kohen, because it is hekdesh again. Asur l'shachota b'yom tov, it is prohibited to slaughter it on Yom Tov, because the mum that we're talking about here is a mum that is permanent, and it removes that animal from the status of hekdesh to hulin. לפיכך אסור לראות מומי קדשים ביום טוב, גזירה שמא יתירן החכם במומין, ויבוא זה לשחוט בו ביום. Therefore, it is prohibited to examine a mum of an animal that was hekdesh on Yom Tov, because the chacham, the person that's examining it, may permit it and say that the mum that you think isn't really a mum, and the person may come to slaughter it on that day, on Yom Tov. However, the examiner may come and examine the mum prior to Yom Tov and permit it or prohibit it for the next day. An animal that was born and it had a mum, it is considered mukhan, and one may not examine it on Yom Tov. And here, when we say mukhan, it is not muktse. And we're referring to a bechor, and because the bechor that was born on the firstborn of an animal that was born with a mum is considered mukhan, and we don't examine it on Yom Tov, because the bechor of the behemah tehora that has a mum goes to the kohen, and the kohen can do whatever he wants with it, but it does not belong to the Jew. However, if the animal, if the person didn't listen and examined the mum, and the chacham allowed this animal and removed it from its hekdesh status, and allowed, and when we say hetiro, he allowed for that person to have it, that person may slaughter it and eat it. If the bechor fell into a pit, the person may keep it alive in its place, because he can't bring it out, because it is ra'ui the shechita b'yom tov, because it is not allowed. Sorry, a person may not slaughter it on Yom Tov, and he has no use for it on Yom Tov. Otovet beno refers to a mother and the child of a behemah, and the behemah is a shor kesef, or as a cow, a goat, or a sheep. So one of those with its mother that fell into a pit, one may bring up the first one on the condition to slaughter it, but ends up not slaughtering it, and one may be cunning. Here we're talking about harama. One may be cunning and bring up the second on the condition to slaughter it, and can in the end slaughter whichever one he wants. Mishum ta'ar ba'alei hayim hitiru leharim. And Chachamim allowed, in the case of an animal which is suffering, they allowed this ha'arama, this cunningness, to make a tenai on both animals and to choose whichever one you want to eat, to slaughter rather. Behemat hulin shenafla min hagag, v'arehi tzericha bedika, shohatin otah b'yom tov, v'tibadek, v'shatim matzeh keshera v'te'achel. A non-sacrificial animal that fell from the roof requires bedika, requires to be checked if it is allowed to be eaten or not, because it has a mum. Shohatin otah b'yom tov, v'tibadek. One, it may be slaughtered on Yom Tov, on the condition that, and it must be checked afterwards. Because after you check it, you may find that it is kasher and it may be eaten. הלכה ו' אווזים ותרנגולות ויונים שבבית הרי אלו מוכנים ואינם צריכים זימון. Ducks or chickens or doves that were in the house are considered mukhan and don't need to be designated. About yone shovach veyone aliyah v'tzipurin shekinenu בתפיחין או בבירה, הרי אלו מוקצה, וצריך לזמן מבערב, ולומר אלו ואלו אני נוטל, ואינו צריך לנענע. Doves that were in a dovecote, or doves that were in a loft, or birds that that nested in a clay nest that was designated for them. That people would typically lay them out for the birds to for them to have their nest in. That were either nesting in the city or in these nests. Again, these are considered muktse, and one must designate it from before Yom Tov and say that I am taking these and these these chicks and points to them or says which ones they are, and he doesn't need to do ni'anua, to grab hold of them and to grab hold of the birds and to shake them, showing his ownership over them. Rather, it is enough to simply designate them and say which one he wants to take. זימן שחורין ולבנים, ומצא שחורין במקום לבנים ולבנים במקום שחורין, הרי אלו אסורים. שאני אומר, שמא אותן שזימן פרחו להן, ואלו אחרין הן. If a person designated black and white doves, and in the place that where the black dove was, he finds the white dove, or vice versa, these are prohibited. And Harambam here gives a reason for this, because it's a very simple reason, that it could be that the ones that you designated flew away, and the ones that are now in front of you are different doves that you did not designate. V'chol sefek mukhan asur. And the klal is that anything that has a doubt whether it was prepared on Yom Tov or not, it is prohibited to be used on Yom Tov. Zimen shenayim u'matzah shelosha hakol asur. If he designated two and ended up finding three in the same place, all of them are prohibited. Shelosha u'matzah shenayim mutarim. However, if he found three, if he designated three and found two, they are allowed. Zimen betoch haken u'matzah lifnei haken im en sham ken ela hen ve'enan yicholin lifroach אבל כשיש שם כן אחר וקרן זווית בתוך המשממה, הרי אלו מותרים, שאין המדדה אלא כנגד קינו בשווה. So if a person designated birds that were inside the nest, and then on Yom Tov he found them outside of the nest, if there was only that nest and they couldn't go and nest somewhere and go somewhere else and find haven somewhere else, despite the fact that there may be another nest in the line of sight within 50 amot, these chicks are allowed. These birds are allowed because a bird only settles in a place that is directly ahead. Halacha zayin. Dagim shebebivarin gedulin. Fish that were in large aquariums. And so too, hayot or afot chickens or other animals that are kept in a certain area. If the animal needs to be trapped, so much so that the owners go and say, let's bring a trap and we'll trap the animal, these are considered muktzeh, and we are forbidden to trap them on Yom Tov. And if one transgressed and did trap these animals, they may not be eaten. This is obviously in contrast to just going and grabbing the chicken or the animal that you want to take. And anything that does not require a trap, it is considered mukhan, and you may grab it on Yom Tov and eat it. And so too, an animal that made its nesting place in an orchard that is close to the city. The children of the animals, when they're small, that do not require to be trapped do not need to be designated for Yom Tov, because one's mind is upon them, meaning he knows that he can use them and he's aware of them, and he doesn't need to trap them on Yom Tov, and may simply take them and slaughter them. הלכה ח' בצידוד חיה ועופות ודגים שפרסן מערב יום טוב לא ייטול מהן ביום טוב, אלא אם כן יודע שניצודו מערב יום טוב. If there were traps that were set up prior to Yom Tov for an animal, a chicken, or a fish, one may not take them on Yom Tov. If they were trapped, if you set a trap prior to Yom Tov, you may not take the animal on Yom Tov, because you don't know if these animals were trapped on Yom Tov or not. הסוחר אמת המים מערב יום טוב ולמחר השכים ומצא בדגים הרי אלו מותרים שכבר ניצודו מערב יום טוב והרי הן מוכנים. If someone closed up a canal from prior to Yom Tov, and the next day he got up and found fish there, these fish are allowed because we say that these fish were trapped prior to Yom Tov and they are considered מוכן. הלכה ט' בית שהוא מלא פירות מוכנים ונפתח נותן ממקום הפתח. ונפחת נותן ממקום הפחת. A storehouse that was filled with fruits that were prepared for Yom Tov, and a hole was made in this storehouse, one may take fruits from the hole. העומד על המוקצה מערב יום טוב בשנה שביעית שכל הפירות הפקר, צריך שירשום ויאמר מכאן ועד כאן אני נוטל, ואם לא רשם לא ייטול. If a person was standing on a place that they would dry the grapes or or dates on the eve of Yom Tov in the 7th year, or the year of Shevitat, in which all fruits are hefker and are and it's considered as if they don't have an owner and are also exempt from tirumot and ma'asrot. So these fruits, one must specify and say that I am taking from here to here. For example, if he has a line of a bunch of grapes laying that are being dried, he must specify and say that he's taking from these grapes to these grapes. And if he did not specify, he may not take them. Halacha Yod. And these halachot are going to talk about this next halacha is going to talk about a gift that a goy gave to a Jew on Yom Tov, because obviously the Jew didn't really have in mind that the goy was going to give him a gift. הלכה יוד, גוי שהביא תשורה לישראל ביום טוב, אם יש מאותו המין במחובר לקרקע, או שהביא חיה או עופות או דגים שאפשר לצודן בו ביום, הרי אלו אסורים עד לערב וימתין בכדי שיעשו. If a non-Jew brought a gift to a Jew on Yom Tov, if, for example, he gave a type of produce, if that type of produce grows in that area, or that he brought an animal or a fish or a chicken that can be caught or hunted on that day, all of these are prohibited till after Yom Tov, and one must wait the sufficient time that elapsed from nightfall for the gift to be prepared for you to use. So if, for example, it would take an hour to go and collect a certain produce, you must wait an hour after nightfall to eat them. And it's similar to the deen of if a goy did a melacha for you on Shabbat, you must also wait the sufficient time that elapsed for that melacha to be done after Shabbat in order for you to enjoy from that melacha. Even a hadas, hadas is a good smelling plant that we happen to shake on Sukkot as well. Even if if the goy gave that to the Jew, he may not smell it until after Yom Tov and must wait for the time that it takes to go and pluck a hadas. ואם אין מאותו המין במחובר לקרקע, או שהייתה צורתו מוכחת עליו שמאתמול נעקר או ניצוד, אם הביאו בתוך התחום מותר, ואם הביאו מחוץ לתחום, הרי זה אסור לו. However, if from that produce, if that produce did not grow in that area, or that you can tell from a certain appearance of the fruit, or from the fruit, or from the animal that he brings you, that it was slaughtered from before Yom Tov, meaning, if, for example, Yom Tov was on Thursday, and you can tell that it was taken on Wednesday. If he brought it from inside of the tihum, it is allowed. However, if it was brought from outside of the tihum, it is prohibited for the Jew. If a Jew came from outside of the tihum and brought food from the Jew from outside of the tihum, it is allowed for the other Jew to use it. Halacha Yod Aleph. This is a very, very famous case. It's in regards to trees that fell in Yom Tov. And Harambam uses this case to show that it is that Isurim midrabanan may be nullified, or mevatilin isure derabanan lechatechila. And if you follow the sugya in Masechet Betzah, I think Daf Daled, the sugya seems to imply that. However, the Rosh says that it is prohibited to nullify isure midrabanan lechatechila, and Chachamim only allowed a person to nullify an isur derabanan in this case. In Hilchot Machalot Asurot, we will see that Harambam says this explicitly, that one may nullify isur derabanan, and this is this Harambam's source for it. And again, if anyone wants to take a look at the sugya, it's a fascinating sugya, and I happen to think that the sugya reads like Harambam's reading of it, that mevatilin isur derabanan lechatechila. So, halacha Yod Aleph. Etzim shenashru min hadegel b'yom tov asur lahasikan mipnei shehen nolad. Branches that fell from a tree on Yom Tov, cannot be used for fuel because they are created. They are created to be used for fuel on Yom Tov. Before they were simply branches, now they are fuel, and it's as if it was created to be fuel on Yom Tov. And this is the exact case in the Gemara that I was referring to, that if the branches fell into the oven, a person may add branches that were already ready before Yom Tov and light the entire thing. And again, because this is Nolad and Chachamim prohibited Muktzeh, we nullify the Isur of Muktzeh with more branches that were prepared for Yom Tov, and we may use these branches that fell on Yom Tov into the oven. A pile of straw or a bunch of tree branches may not be used to start a fire on Yom Tov unless he prepared them prior to Yom Tov, because they are muktzeh. However, if there was straw that was mixed with thorns, that the only possible use for them would be for a fire, they are considered mukhan, and one may light them on Yom Tov. It is prohibited to chop wood from a pile of beams to be used for a fire, because they are muktzeh. And you may not use wood from a beam that was broken on Yom Tov, because it is nolad. So to vessels that were broken on Yom Tov, one may not light them because they are nolad. However, one may light vessels that are whole, that you would probably use them on Yom Tov, or a vessel that was broken from prior to Yom Tov because they were designated for something else and you had use for them on Yom Tov. And when we say nolad here, we are referring to a new usage. So just like the wood had a use, the wood that we're talking about, the beams, for example, had a use on Yom Tov to hold up the house. Once they're broken, you have a new use of this wood was created, namely that you can use it for a fire. So because a new use was created, it is prohibited. And the same thing with the etzim, and the same thing with the other halachot that follow. Halacha kayotzebo, still in the middle of halacha yud bet. Egozim ushkedin she'achalan me'erev yom tov masikin biklipatan b'yom tov. In the same fashion, almonds or other type of nuts that person ate prior to Yom Tov, one may burn their shells on Yom Tov. Ve'im achalan beYom Tov en masikin beklipatan. However, if they were eaten on Yom Tov, one may not use the shells because again the shells have a new usage on Yom Tov. However, if you ate the shells prior to Yom Tov, you designated these shells to be used for Yom Tov, and you can use them. Ve'im achalan beYom Tov en masikin. Okay. Now this is something that we haven't had until this point in the Mishne Tora. Rambam remarks about a discrepancy in the noshaot of the Talmud that he used. So in some of the noshaot, Rambam says that he found the following: She'im achalan miba'erev en masikin beklipatan she'arei hukzu, ve'im achalan beyom tov masikin mipnei she'en muchanin al gabeh ha'ochel. That if a person ate these nuts or almonds prior to Yom Tov, one may not use these shells because they are muktzeh. And if they were eaten on Yom Tov, one may use their shells because they were already, they are part of the food and considered part of the food. And if you eat the food, you can use the shells on Yom Tov as well. I am not sure. It's unclear what Harambam's position is. It could be that his opinion is the first opinion simply stated, but just wanted to point out that Harambam is extremely honest here with the nosach that he has, and doesn't necessarily change the nosach to try and fit in his own logic, as some other chachamim do. Rabbi Sabato talks about the difference in approach of the Chachmei Sefarad and the Chachmei Ashkenaz. The Chachmei Sefarad were much more, I guess you could say, loyal to the text of the Talmud and the nusachot that they had, and very, very, very rarely changed the nusach. In contrast to the Chachmei Ashkenaz and the Tosafot, that didn't necessarily have an issue changing the nusachot of the Talmud, because their approach was the logic of the Talmud and of the Chachamim is more important than the actual nosach. And if one Chacham's logic was consistent or inconsistent, they would not necessarily hesitate to change the nosach. Halacha Yud Gimel. Kotz ratuv hareze muktzeh mipnei she'en ra'ui lahasaka. A wet thorn is muktzeh because you cannot really light it. לפיכך, אסור לא לעשותו כמו שיפוד לצלות בבשר וכן כל כיוצא בזה. Therefore, one may not use it as a type of a shipud or stick to roast meat on it, and so too anything of this sort. נותנים עצים הסמוכות לדופני סוכה ומסיקים בהן. One may take branches that are right close to the walls of the sukkah and light them. אבל אין מביאים עצים מן השדה אפילו היו מכונסים שם מבערב. However, one may not bring branches from the field even if they were gathered there prior to Yom Tov. אבל מגבב הוא בשדה מלפניו ומדליק שם. However, one may collect twigs from a field and light them there. ומביאים מן המכונסים שברשות היחיד ואפילו היו מוקפת שלא לשם דירה ובלבד שיהיה לה פותחת ותהיה בתוך תחום השבת. However, one may bring trees, branches from a pile that are in Reshut HaYachid, even if the Reshut HaYachid was partitioned not for a person to be lived, not for living quarters. And this is on the condition that it has a lock on it and it was inside the Tikkun Shabbat. However, if one of these conditions were not fulfilled, it is muktzeh. עלי קנים ועלי גפנים, אף על פי שהן מכונסים בכרפף, כיוון שהרוח מפזרת אותם, הרי הן כמפוזרים ואסורים. Reed leaves or grapevine leaves, despite the fact that they may have been gathered in a karpef. A karpef is something we talked about in Hilchot Shabbat, and is a place that is partitioned off but without a roof, that is not set for is not used for living quarters, because the wind spreads out these leaves. They are considered spread out and are prohibited. However, if someone placed on these leaves a heavy object in order to keep them gathered, they are considered gathered and you may use them on Yom Tov. This is on the condition that you've laid this object prior to Yom Tov. An animal that died on Yom Tov. If it was about to die prior to Yom Tov, one may, and it died on Yom Tov, one may cut it up and feed it to the dogs. However, if it was not very sick prior to Yom Tov and not about to die prior to Yom Tov and suddenly died on Yom Tov, it is considered muktzeh because it was not in your mind for it to be used on Yom Tov, and you may not move it from its place. An animal that was designated for hikdesh that died, or terumah that happened to become tameh, one may not move it from its place because you must burn the terumah that was nitmet, and it is prohibited to burn or destroy terumah or hikdesh on Yom Tov. דגים ועופות וחיה שהן מוקצה, אין משכין אותן ביום טוב ואין נותנים לפניהן מזונות שמא יבוא לקח מהן. Fish or chickens or animals that were muktzeh, one may not give them to drink, or one may not feed them on Yom Tov because you might take from it. Meaning you might take from these animals and slaughter them. Anything that we said that it is prohibited to eat or to use on Yom Tov because of muktzeh, it is prohibited to handle it as well. If a person brought earth from prior to Yom Tov and singled it out in a corner of his courtyard, is considered mukhan and is permitted to be used on Yom Tov. So too, ashes that were created because of a fire prior to Yom Tov are considered mukhan, you may use them on Yom Tov. However, if the ashes were burned on Yom Tov, if it was hot enough that you can roast an egg on it, it is permitted to be handled because it is still considered fire. However, if it is not hot enough to roast an egg, it is prohibited to be handled because it is nolad. If a person had a shovel stuck to the ground prior to Yom Tov, and you uprooted the shovel and you brought earth out with it, if it was dry earth, one may use it for kisui hadam and handle it on Yom Tov. However, if it was a solid clod of earth, one may not crumble it or handle it on Yom Tov.